G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. Today I want to talk about boosters. What are they? What are the different kinds of boosters? Why would you use one? And where in your signal chain would you put one? But before I get too deep into this video, please show your support by subscribing. And if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps it to get viewed. So first, we need to establish what qualifies as a boost. Well, really, a boost is anything in your signal chain that raises your overall level going into your amplifier. This could be a dedicated clean boost, or it could be even something like an overdrive. Now, firstly, I need to address the three main reasons why you would use a boost in the first place. Reason number one, volume control. So if you fundamentally like your tone, but there's parts where you want it just to be louder, that is the perfect place to use a boost pedal. So if you're playing in a band situation and there's a solo coming up, you would engage your boost, you would jump up in volume so that you're louder, and then when that solo was over, you would turn it off and come back down to the mix. Now this is especially handy if you are working in a situation where you either don't have a sound man or your sound man doesn't know your songs and doesn't know to turn you up, because you can do that on your own. Number two, more gain. Put in the right place in your signal chain, a booster can also create more saturation. You can use it to push your other drive pedals or even your amplifier drive to give you more saturation, giving you more sustain and more compression. Number three would be to alter the characteristics of your drive tone. If you're using the same drive tone all night, it may not be suitable for all of the songs or all the parts that you are going to play. You can use different types of boost pedals to do different things to that tone to make it really stand out, as well as adding more gain and more volume if you want to as well. So let's look at the different kinds of boosts. First up, I want to talk about clean boosts. They often have just one knob like this, the EP booster. There's also the MXR micro amp, and there's the Keeley Katana, there's the TC Spark Mini, and these all just have a simple dial here. And basically they are a high headroom little preamp like that. They're not really designed to distort, they're just designed to make your overall tone louder. So this is perfect for your volume control situation. If you wanted to use a pedal like this to make your overall tone louder, what you would do is you would put it after your drive pedals or in your effects loop if you're going to use your amplifier's drive. And then by clicking it on, you're just not going to change the tone, you're not going to add more gain, you're just going to boost the overall volume and make it louder. Some people like to use these as always-on pedals. Some people just like to hit the front end of their amp a little bit harder and really sort of bring their amplifier to life. With some older style of amplifiers, that works really well. The EP booster here is interesting because it is both a clean boost and a color boost, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But you can also get clean boosts like this, the TC Spark. This has more controls, obviously. So we have a bass and treble control on here, and these are what we call bipolar, meaning that in the center, they're neutral, and you can both cut treble and bass, or you can add treble and bass. Some EQs you can only add. These ones give you the option to add or cut, which is very, very handy. Now, it has separate gain and level controls as well. Now, if you want to boost that pre-gain and get more drive happening, you can turn up the gain and then attenuate that with the level knob. This pedal also has 3 different modes. So if you set it to clean mode, it's essentially a clean boost. But if you set it to fat mode, it's going to boost sort of lower mid frequencies. And if you set it to mid boost, it will boost mid-range frequencies and make it a little bit honkier. So this can be used as a color boost. I like having that bit of extra flexibility. I think that it's much more useful in my types of rigs that I like to use. So if you're looking to boost the gain, what you would do is you would put it in front of your other drive pedals or in front of your amplifier's drive to create more saturation. Lastly, we have a color boost. Now there's several different types of color boost, and they do exactly that. They are not transparent. They will color or change your overall tone. So first of all, I want to look at treble boosters. So treble boosters have been around a very long time. Going way back to the 60s, there was a device called the Dallas Rangemaster treble booster. Now, back in those days, there was no such thing as a high gain amplifier. And it was quite common for guys to just take their amplifier and turn everything all the way up to get the maximum amount of gain. And still that wasn't enough. So they would then add a booster to just get more saturation and more gain. Now, one of the problems with turning your amplifier all the way up is that the amplifier can't handle particularly all the bottom end frequencies. And it starts to do this thing called sag. It starts to sag, the sound becomes very flubby and undefined. Adding a treble booster is going to fix that problem because it's going to cut bottom end and it's going to boost upper mid frequencies. It's not so much going to boost your high end frequencies, but more that upper mid pick attack type frequencies. One of the great things about treble boosters is that as you wind up the gain, it really focuses it in the right place. It really focuses on those upper mids, and that's where all the clarity is in your tone. So it really helps to make all your single notes and your chords and things like that really stand out. Many guitarists around this time period used these kinds of tricks. So it's thought that Eric Clapton used a Dallas Rangemaster in front of his Bluesbreaker amp for the John Mayall and the Bluesbreakers album. But also Rory Gallagher, he would use a Dallas Rangemaster in front of a Vox AC30, a trick that he taught Brian May from Queen. There was also Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. He used to use a Dallas Rangemaster in front of his cranked Laney to give him that bit more definition. So the two main pedals that I use for a treble boost type tone are the Boost and Buff here by MIFX. This is a really handy boost. Again, it's a sort of Swiss Army knife boost. It's got 3 different modes. So it's got mid hump, so it makes it more honky. We'll talk about mid humps in a minute. It also has full frequency mode, which makes it a transparent boost, and then it's got treble boost mode. Also, it is a high quality or has a high quality buffer in it. So if you are using a large pedal board, you're going to need some buffering. This solves that problems for you, and the good thing about it is if you don't want the buffer, you can actually switch it off here on the front. So it's a bit of a 2-in-1. The other type of pedal that I'll use as a type of treble boost is the Marshall Bluesbreaker. This has a lot of upper mid clarity, so it works as kind of like a mild version of one of these. So it's still very useful in that regard. I use it for that quite often. So another type of pedal that you could use both as a transparent or a color boost would be an EQ pedal. So Tom Morello has used one of these for years in his effects loop. He just turns up the volume on the end like that and just kicks it on for his solos. So he's using it kind of as a transparent boost. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually use this as a kind of treble booster if you like, or a mid-range booster, or you could use it to sort of shave off a bit of those flubby bottom end frequencies. It's really simple to do. You could just shave off a bit of bottom end, or you could add a bit of top end clarity, or you might just decide to give it a bit of a mid hump in the middle. Okay, certainly great pedal for that sort of stuff. It's not going to affect the compression or the gain too much, but it's certainly something that can fundamentally change your tone, and I think it's an underrated use of an EQ pedal. In fact, I think EQ pedals are underrated, full stop. Other types of pedals that you can use as color boosts are just generic overdrive pedals. So your clon style pedals work really great for this, your blues driver. So the characteristic of this is that it's fairly transparent, but it shaves off a bit of bottom end. So it really just helps to tighten your sound up. So you can use this as a boost. It works very, very well, as does the clon. It's got a bit of a notch around sort of 1K. So it's really going to help your notes to really sing and help to tighten your tone. Possibly the pedal that I use the most as a boost would be a tube screamer style pedal or tube screamer variant. So I'm going to do a whole episode about tube screamers and how I use them. But ultimately, what they do to your signal is they shave off bottom end, they shave off top end, and they push mid-range. So the mid-range in the middle makes it a bit honkier, and it just gives your tone this sort of singing quality. So it's great for single note stuff. I don't really like it when I'm playing rhythm, but when I'm playing either a solo or riffs or something like that, it just adds this element to it that really makes those notes stand out and really sing. You can also use this to wind in extra gain, and with extra gain comes more compression. This has quite a bit of compression, so you can really sustain your notes for long periods of time. A lot of people actually just run it with the gain all the way down, and they just use it to boost the level and to fundamentally change their tone. So they're incredibly handy as a boost. Typically speaking, I will use my color boosts in front of any drive pedals or amplifier drive that I'm using. If you were to put it after, it's going to have a more drastic effect. Another type of pedal that I like to use as a boost is the Pastfx TDY. This is based on the Chandler tube driver, which was used by Dave Gilmour and Eric Johnson. And the reason I would use this over, say, the Spark is that although it both has low and high controls, this has got more gain in it, but it's much more natural gain, meaning it sort of really does react to the way I play more. So it's more dynamic. The harder I pick, the more it's going to distort. And I really like that. It's got more gain on tap, so I can just wind in just the right amount and use it as a kind of a light overdrive, if you like. And I've used this on plenty of recordings, particularly for rhythm sounds, because it leaves my tone relatively intact, and it sounds great in front of my Fender amplifier and my Vox AC30. As I said before, the EP booster here is also a color boost of sorts. So inside it's got a couple of dip switches. You can set it to full frequency mode, which makes it a transparent boost, or you can set it to EP mode and it becomes color boost. Now, EP stands for Echoplex. The Echoplex was an old tape delay unit that had a preamp in it. This is going back in the 70s. And remember what I said about how guitarists back then were looking for more gain? One of the ways they found it was in the old Echoplex unit. They would not even use the delay circuit, just use that preamp, crank it right up, and it would give them more gain. But at the same time, it changed the characteristics of their tone and just made it warmer. And guys like Jimmy Page and Eric Johnson still uses Echoplexes to this day for that reason. So they've taken that preamp and put it into this box to create the Echoplex preamp, which is really, really handy. It's a great little pedal. So if you enjoyed this video or you found it interesting, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to support this channel further, you can go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store. I've left links in the description and you can buy some merchandise. You can also join the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page. I've left the link in the description. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a great day. Crank it up.